So now we know the overall methodology. So how do we do this in practice? And let's walk through this. So initially, you start with it's a 4-phase approach. In the first phase is information gathering information of the organization, what systems, business processes we have. In the second phase, you identify and prioritize your high-risk security areas. You have interviews with key stakeholders, sit down and document the different risks, and prioritize them with your key stakeholders. In phase 3, you assess the current risk management, what controls we have, and the quality of the controls. And finally, in phase 4, we define our risk gaps, define areas we need to address, and the overall security risk management plan. So let's walk through phase 1 and phase 2 here, information gathering and identify, prioritize IT security high-risk areas. To be able to identify the key security risks, you need to look at 4 areas. The business processes, so what department use IT, what system are they using, how dependent are they to information technology. We also need to look at the data information flow, what systems we have, how they integrate it. And thirdly, we need to look at the IT infrastructure, how complex it is. And finally, we need to look at your general information security processes, to how they work today. Are they decentralized, are they centralized, etc., etc. So based on this information, you can identify different key risks. One key component in an IT security risk assessment is the documentation piece. For key stakeholders to be able to understand and assess some of the key risks, we need to summarize key information and have supporting documentation. And the following 2 slides are provided as example and not intended to be fully readable, but exemplify the concepts of have documentation and identify risks. This provides an overview of an IT infrastructure, the network diagram. So it's a high-level network diagram on the left side and more detail on the right side. And based on this, we can identify different risks, and the risk areas are identified by the red dots in this example. Another example is the data information flow. This shows the revenue cycle, what the business processes are, and what systems are involved, and where the key security risk areas are identified. So, by identifying the key risks, we can put together a list of all the key risks, and the key aspects of documenting your risk is that you have a description of the risk, but also the business impact. So, based on this information, the key stakeholders can evaluate and estimate or put together the business impact. So what's the significance and likelihood? And many times you do this in a workshop or you do this in a workshop. But without this information, it's very hard for key stakeholders to understand key IT security risks. Then we have the third phase, where we assess the current risk management in place for the identified risk areas. And what do we assess related to the controls? We look at the design of the controls. So does it address the key risk? Is it manual? Is it automated? That's one aspect of the design of the control. The other one is the documentation. Do we have a policy? Do we have procedures? Is it updated on a regular basis? Etc., etc. And finally, a critical aspect is that has the control been tested, verified that it's working, and has it been tested on a regular basis. Based on this information, we can rate the control, and we do that as a maturity scale, a 6-graded scale, exemplified here in the middle. And for example, level 0 is non-existent, the process control procedures do not exist, and level 1, initial ad hoc, the process informal, undocumented, and reactive. And you look further up the scale, the managed level, the process control procedure is implemented and measurable. And preferable, you would be up in the third or fourth level to have a good good mitigating controls. So based on this information, coming back to the documentation again, you need to document what kind of mitigating controls we have. And this is exemplified here. Look at previous audits as well, and policy procedures and other mitigate control factors, and assess the quality of the control. Based on this information, we can put together the net risk map. Finally, in phase 4, we define the risk gaps, we define the risk acceptance, and define the risk management plan. This is usually the most critical phase because we need to involve several key stakeholders. So which risk do we accept and which one do we not accept? And from a business perspective, I mean, we run a business, so it may be prudent to have a high risk exposure, but the key thing is it has to be a formal management decision. So we identify the risks that we want to address and key areas, the key risk, key control. So based on this, we can define our risk management plan, and it consists of 2 areas: one-time efforts and ongoing efforts. The one-time efforts is projects to improve, identify risk gaps, and it may also include areas where we need to perform more comprehensive assessment or other work to be performed to develop a comprehensive risk mitigation plan. The ongoing efforts, or the quality assurance efforts, consist of 3 areas. It's the key control that you need to maintain on a regular basis, like the disaster recovery plan, the security risk assessment, the security awareness program, etc., etc. It also includes the key controls to be tested on a regular basis, such as the disaster recovery plan, backup, penetration testing. And finally, which is a very critical aspect of the security risk management, your goals and measurements, as well as your reporting of these goals and measurements to the management and the board. The IT security risk management plan is where we usually see the most improvements. This is also an HIPAA security requirement. So to make sure everyone is still with us, we have a second survey we like to ask the group, and this question relates to the IT security risk management plan. So does your facility have an IT security risk management plan in place currently? And I see you can vote now. And the result should come up here shortly. Excellent. Let's see if we get any result coming up here. So the poll has closed, and here we go. So as you see in the response that there's actually a pretty good result. We have 34% that actually have an IT security risk management plan, which is very good, but there's still a few that has no IT security plan and a few that not have. So it's a pretty common result.